We are amazing because our passion is limitless and our drive is intense. Therefore, you will not deny our grind. You are now listening to the Faith, Grind, and Inspire podcast.
Welcome back to Faith, Grind, Inspire podcast. I am your host, Gene Alert, and today we have a special guest, my man, Jermain Miller. What's going on, man?
Everything is wonderful. Everything is wonderful, man. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today, just sharing, inspiring, and motivating.
Oh, man, thank you so much, brother. Like, you sharp.
I appreciate
Very
you.
sharp,
Likewise,
man.
likewise.
You know what? It's interesting, right? Because I'm a suit and tie guy. Everybody knows, like, Gene's always in a suit, right? But for the podcast, I try to, like, not put a tie on because I wanted to, you know, at least look dressed down a little. But because I see how you roll, I said, nah, bro. I was like, I was like, he's going to come in here with a tie. Nope, I'm coming through.
All right.
But so we got the tie gang right now. So it's all good. But so this podcast is all about entrepreneurship, the mindset. We talk about how you got here, what's going on with you, and what makes you tick, and you know, the business, the grind, right? Faith, grind, inspire. And then towards the end of the show, I'm going to ask you a question. Which one resonates with you? So I'm planting that seed in your mind now so that at the end you can answer it. All right, cool. So tell us about yourself, man. Like, where are you from?
I grew up on Staten Island, New York. My mother did what was best for us, put a roof over our head. I didn't know in those early years of my life that I had a goal.
Mm-hmm.
And my goal was to get my grandmother out of that area and buy her a home. So I went through school. I got the best grades I can get. But around the second year in college, something happened. And what happened was we discovered she had lung cancer.
Oh, man.
And that was very detrimental to me because cancer in 7 different languages is the most feared word. And so what I thought at the time, which was my second year in college, I already figured I was smart enough in college, so I dropped out of school and I came back to New York to try to do what I can to help my grandmother. But with a big family that we had, something made me very upset. We didn't have the money or the resources to take care of and provide for her while she was going through what she was going through. So the best thing we thought next to do was to put her in hospice. I had no idea that the moment you go into hospice, there's no chance of you coming out. So right after that, shortly after we put her in hospice, she passed away. And I remember the day that we buried her. That day, I didn't realize that I was burying my dreams and I was burying my goals. And for 6 years of my life, I remember waking up one morning, I was laying in the bottom of someone's basement on the floor. It was my only coat that I was laying on. And when I woke up, I said to myself, wow, how did I get here? And at that particular time, I was 25 years old. I had 93 cents in my account. I was homeless, went through a divorce, had children by different women, spent some time in Rikers Island. I mean, bad credit, you name it. Every possible thing could go wrong. As Murphy's Laws is, if anything could go wrong, it will. And I went through everything.
Wow.
And I woke up, I'm 25 years old. I got every reason to do well, but I was failing, and I didn't know why. And so I had to make a decision. I asked myself this question. I said, Jermain, in 5 years, if you continue doing what you're doing, where will you be?
Where will you be?
That was a tough question I had to ask myself.
That is a tough question.
That morning, and most people, what they do is they look at their circumstances and say, this is my conclusion for life. And I said, no, this is not my conclusion. I got to do something. And so I remember calling one of my close friends and saying, hey, man, listen, I want to become a real estate agent. I don't have the money to become a real estate agent. Can I borrow it from you? And he said to me, well, Jermaine, I don't have it either, but it sounds like you're inspired to do something. And so he sent me the check. I went through the real estate course, and I started my first opportunity as a real estate agent in 2005. And I remember the 3rd day in training, I went into the company and I printed out my bank statement. It had 93 cents in my bank statement.
Yeah, I saw that in your bio, 93 cents.
93 cents. And I printed out my bank statement. I gave it to the owner of the company because it's Wednesday. And although I was hungry physically, not mentally, I was hungry physically, and they were giving me juice and bagels every morning. I needed to make some money. So I showed him my bank statement. I said, listen, man, I can't go another week in this office doing some training. I need to get out in the field and make some money.
Yeah.
And I think he looked at me, he said, this can't be real. I said, yes, it's real. This is all I got, man. My Metro card is getting ready to expire next Friday. I got to do something.
Yeah.
And he put me in the office in the West Village. And I never forget, man, I was the first person in, the last person leave, not because I was the first person in, the last person leave. I didn't have any other choice. I was the first person in, the last person leave because I had no other place to go. So I'm sleeping in the office. I'm taking showers at the gym. I'm folding my clothes under the desk and some of the closets in the back. And for 10 years, I worked really hard in the real estate industry, sold well over $200 million in real estate. But here's what happened. I discovered that wasn't what I really wanted to do. And a lot of people are dealing with things in life that they don't want because they never decide what it is that they really do want. And that was me. So I wanted to impact and empower and really help people change their lives and share with them the ability for them to live their dream. But in order for them to live their dream, I had to live mine.
You had to live yours.
I had to live mine.
Brother, that's, man, that's a powerful story, man. Like, so, okay, let's go back.
Yeah.
So now, when you ask yourself that question, right? What was the feelings? I mean, I know it's a long time ago,
right.
But what was the feelings? What was the emotions? Like, what made you get up and go take your test, your real estate test? Like, what made you get into real estate?
Well, it's a great question. There was 3 things that I had to think about. One, I didn't have any money, so I really couldn't start a business from a structure standpoint. I didn't have any money. 2, I had a bad attitude, so a lot of people wasn't hiring me. And 3, I just said, there's just no way that I can't take ownership of my life, even though I'm here where I am right now. One of my favorite books, As a Man Thinketh, by James Allen. He says, your circumstances reveal who you are to yourself. And I didn't know that at that time, that everything that I was going through, all these circumstances, all these challenging, they were only revealing who I was to myself so that I could become a better person. And it was that moment. I mean, I remember I didn't read books at all, but I had Les Brown's Live Your Dream book on the side of me. And clearly I wasn't living my dream, right? I was living a nightmare. So I had to do something. If I wanted my life to change the next 5 years, I had to first start by some new ideas. So I had to get some new ideas going. That mindset had to change.
Oh, yeah. So who put you onto real estate? Was there a mentor? Was there somebody that you just said real estate's it?
Yeah, well, no, I had a friend of mine who was in mortgage. She was a mortgage at the time.
Okay.
And she said, Jermain, the real estate industry, it might be a good opportunity for you. And to be honest with you, I remember having this conversation with her, and she said, you're talking about these bad attitudes, but there's a lot of people in real estate right now making a lot of money, and they have bad attitudes. I said, well, I'll fit right in, right? So she kind of inspired me to just give it a shot. And I figured, I don't have anything else to lose. At this particular time, so let me just jump right in.
Now, let me ask you something about the bad attitude, right? Do you think the bad attitude, quote unquote, was because you were upset about not fulfilling that vision that you had as a young kid to buy the home for your grandmother? Did you feel it was like some resentment?
I think it was a combination of a lot of things. I mean, George Bernard Shaw, one of my favorite people, he has a quote. He said, I can't think of it right at this particular time, but they said, people are always blaming the circumstances for what they are. I don't believe in circumstances. The people that get on in this world are the people that get up, they look for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, they make them. And so, I had these circumstances. They weren't the circumstances that I wanted, right? But I was making those circumstances. So I think for me, it was a combination. I was blaming my mom for not giving me a great lifestyle when I grew up. I blame my dad for not being around. I blame my children's mother for drama. I blame myself for not fulfilling, like you said, the dream that I gave or wanted to buy a home for my grandmother. I blame myself for dropping out of college. I blamed every possible thing, the government, the society. Man, I had a bag of blame list. It was so long, but I didn't take the responsibility or the ownership to just look at myself in the mirror and say, hey, man, you're the one that need to go for the real, or you're the real cause of all of this. You got to change your thinking.
Absolutely, man. You know what? My mom used to tell me, because growing up, I was pretty smart. I'm pretty smart, and going through school, I used to see my family, some of my cousins, always get rewards every time they did something good.
Right.
So I used to go home and tell my parents, "Hey, I did good in school too. So can I get this?"
Right.
So my mom told me one day, if you think every time you do something good in life, someone's going to reward you, you out of luck.
Right.
You have to do things because you want to do it for you.
Right.
So don't do things for other people. So when that happened, that also triggered something else too. The validation of waiting for someone to validate me went away too.
Right.
So I get it. Have you ever had any business partners?
Ironically, last year, I don't actually.
Okay.
And, I started Mill Real Estate.
Yes. Oh no, we're gonna get into that.
And I didn't go in with any business partners, but I was going to do a business venture last year with someone, and I was in the process. We opened up a office in an area where I thought was going to be a great opportunity for us, and they didn't have the same vision as I had for the company, and they didn't have any skin in the game. And that's one of the things that I really learned as an entrepreneur, business man. People with no skin in the game, they don't treat your business the same way.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So they got all these dreams and all these goals, but they got all these dreams and all these goals on your back.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, that opportunity didn't work out well. And I had to cut my losses, and I had some things that happened because of it, but I became much more wiser in the process.
No,
you want to be there to help everybody and, do all these things. When you become an entrepreneur, everybody comes to you for all of these business ventures and quote unquote this. But you also have to protect your business and also protect your mind as well.
Oh, for real. That's true, Jermaine. Listen, I have a business coach myself, right? And it's interesting because I'm a consultant.
Right.
But I have a person that I go to, and one of our sessions, she said to me, Gene, you want to be Superman to everybody.
Right.
Right? So I want to go above and beyond just to make you happy. But then when I kill myself and I'm in front of you and you're like, yo, I didn't ask you to do that.
Yes. Yes.
And I get in my feelings.
Yes.
Because I'm like, yo, I did all this
right
for you. Why don't you see this?
Right.
Why don't you appreciate it? But then it's just like, but I didn't ask you to do it.
I didn't ask you.
I didn't ask you to.
And it's just a lot of people's mentality.
Yeah. Because sometimes I was doing things for people where I was doing it in exchange for, not for them to give back something, but at least for, hey, great job, G.
Right. You
Thank you, man.
Back, but that's something that your mom had to deal with you.
Yes.
In the end.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I was talking. I was speaking the other day, and I talked about 2019 for the people to start focusing on themselves first. I was on the plane the other day, and there's a lot of. I travel so much. And just for one particular time, I was listening, and the stewardess got on, and she said, if in the event of an accident, these masks are gonna drop down, and you got to put the mask on you first, and then you take care of everybody else. And that's what we, as entrepreneurs, sometimes we want to take care of so many different things, and people not gonna see that you're depleted. They're not gonna see that you don't have anything left. And it's like, oh, well, we expected you to do that anyway. Thank you. Right. So this year, that's what I said. I'm not trying to be disrespectful for anyone or disrespectful to anyone, but I got to take care of me. I got to take care of myself first, because I'm no good to anyone else if I can't take care of myself.
No, you're right. So building a mental image through the process of imagination, right?
Right.
When I heard that, or read that, I said to myself, I was thinking about how I was as a kid. I was thinking about how we all are. Well, not everybody, but some people, at least the entrepreneurs that I know, right? Well, all entrepreneurs that I know think like this. They paint a vision in their mind,
yes,
and they go with it.
Right.
That's the vision, right? In my book, Do Right, Do Good, I talk about that. That's the number one. That's the first chapter.
I gotta get a copy of that book.
It's called Do Right, Do Good.
Okay.
And the first chapter is called It's Vision. The power of vision. And when I saw this, I said, wow, when you when you have this mental, when people come to my office and they say to me, oh, I want to start a new business. I'm starting a new business, Gene. I'm like, okay, cool. Tell me about it.
Right.
They tell me about it. And I'm like, okay. Oh, I want to come to you guys for a logo. I want you guys to design a logo for me. Okay, no problem. What's your vision? Oh, I don't have one.
Right.
I'm like, oh, you're not ready.
Right. Right.
And they're like, what do you mean?
Not even close.
Not even close. I'm like, you can't come to me. It's not my business.
Right.
It's yours.
Right.
You have to, I'm not going to take your money, because what's going to happen is you're going to give me the money. We're going to design something for you. And you don't really have a vision for your business yet.
Right.
Take time off of social media.
Right.
Go back to the drawing board, pray about it, meditate, do something so it's clear. And when that vision is clear about what you want to do and how you want it to happen,
right,
then come back to me.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I know when you started your real estate company, you had a vision.
Right.
When you started a consulting business, you had a vision.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? When I started this podcast, I had a vision. Me and Brianna, we had nothing.
Right.
But I knew exactly what the guests were going to look like, what we were going to discuss, how this platform was going to be. This whole thing was in my mind. The logo, like everything. But that's what people need to understand.
Right.
So, and I like that. So talk to me more about that and like where that came from.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm excited about this.
I read a lot of books, man. I started with 4 books in 2015.
Wait. I'm sorry.
The other day.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yes.
In the beginning, you said you didn't like to read, right?
I like to read.
Now, what was one of the first books that made, before you get into this, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
What, because I'm curious, what was the first like inspirational book or self-help book that you read that made you like, yo?
I gotta say, my first self-help book, it was challenging because it wasn't something that I was accustomed to hearing, but it was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I read it once, and I saw a couple of things. I'm like, auto-suggestion and the subconscious mind. I'm like, what is this guy talking about? But as I grew in maturity, I went back to the book, and it's actually one of the books that I read a chapter of the book every day without fail. It's part of what I call my success routine, which we can talk about a little later.
Yeah.
But what triggered that was what I read when he said, whatever the mind can conceive or believe, it can achieve. And when I thought about believing, I thought about feeling as well, because when we talk about imagination or creating something, most people don't achieve the thing that they desire, not because they don't desire it, but they don't feel like they can achieve it. That feeling, it's got to be a feeling.
Yep.
And that feeling every day begins the process of a burning desire. So when I feel like I'm entitled to do something, when I feel like I'm going after something that I want in my life, that imagination, my burning desire comes, and I don't care when it happens. It's funny. I was talking to my photographer today. He's 22 years old. We were coming back from Staten Island, and I was talking to him about, he said, Jermain, I want to do this photography thing, and I tried for a little while, and it's not popping like, I wanted to pop. And I said to him, it's an interesting story about the oak tree, right? I mean, I love stories. They're incredible. And I was reading this the other day, and an oak tree lives 500 years, right? 200 to 500 years, an oak tree. But the first 30 years that this oak tree is in existence, it only produces 1 acorn. Now, if you don't know what an acorn is just another oak tree sleeping inside the acorn. But it takes another 75 years for this oak tree to produce an acorn consistently. So for 75 years, this oak tree is producing inconsistent results at what it's supposed to produce.
Wow.
It's gone through storms. It's gone through hurricanes. Other oak trees is falling beside it. But never does this oak tree say, yo, I'm not an oak tree. So when it finally starts producing 75 years in, he goes, you know what, man? I got 425 years to live. I'ma live.
Yeah.
But it was inconsistent. Yeah. And that's the problem with many of us. We don't realize that this thing is a process.
It's a process.
It's gonna take some time. It's not always gonna look like what we want it to look like, but we got to have that image. We got to have that imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Henry David Thoreau once said, if a man advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life that he's imagined, he would meet with success unexpected in common hours. But in order for him to meet with that success unexpected in common hours, he got to advance confidently in the direction of a dream. If you don't have a dream, if you don't have an idea, if you don't have an image, where are you going?
Where are you going? Nowhere.
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 You know, I was doing a training the other day, real estate training, and I had this create your image exercise there. It's very challenging. I went around the room and I asked the people to create an image of what they want for their lives, but write it down on a piece of paper. Write it down. Yeah, write it down. Very challenging, 10-minute exercise. I walk around the room for a little while, and there was one particular lady who would not even look on her paper.
Wow.
So I went by and I said, hey, listen, is everything okay? She said, yes, everything is fine. I went by again. I said, is everything okay? She said, yes, everything is fine. I said, there's nothing on your paper. She got quiet. Exercise over. I went straight to her first. And I said, since you don't have anything on the paper, I'm assuming it's all in your mind. Tell me what your image of your life is. And she looked at me and she said, Jermain, and she just bust down crying.
Wow.
I said, is everything okay? Tears out her eyes. She said, no, I don't have an image of who I want to be. And I looked at her and I said, you know, my grandmother raised me. I got great manners. I hate to ask you, how old are you? She said, I'm 68 years old. And I said to myself, wow, she's 68. She don't have an image of who she wants to be.
Wow.
Abraham Maslow once said, most people tiptoe through life hoping to arrive at death safely because they never decide what it is that they want. They don't have an image. They don't have a definiteness of purpose, and they go after everything that they don't want, thinking it's what they want.
Exactly. Exactly.
So creating the image is, this is what I really want to do.
Yeah, that's sad. Yeah.
This is what I really want to have. And you got to spend time with this thing. This is very important because a lot of us will say, yeah, I want this bottle of water, but I know the bottle of water by looking at it. I only become the thing that I want by spending time with it, by building this relationship with it, getting a definition, getting it down packed every single day. I remember when I bought my first home outside of New York. I drove in this area for 2 years every weekend. Every weekend I drove there.
Yeah.
Every weekend I drove there. Every weekend. I didn't know the blocks. I didn't know the streets. The only thing I knew is I wanted a 5-bedroom house, a 4-bathroom with 4 bathrooms, a 3-car garage, a movie theater, and enough room for my kids to do whatever the heck they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I did it until I manifested it, until I started seeing the image every single day. When I closed my eyes, I planted the seed. Eventually, I got the harvest.
That's what's up, man.
And I think the problem for many of us is we have this goal, we have these images, we have these ideas, and we go and we plant the seed in the ground. And the moment we don't get our harvest, we go back to the ground and say, you know what, this process that you got me going through, I'm not really interested in this manifestation thing. Give me my seed back and let me go plant it somewhere else because I might get that harvest a lot faster.
And it doesn't come. And then they take the seed again.
And they take the seed again. And they go and they keep moving that seed. They keep moving that seed.
You know, so 2 things. When's your birthday?
October 13th.
Okay.
I'm a Libra.
All right, because I knew you close to the Scorpio, man. I was like, yeah.
You right after me, brother.
I was like, yo, I see it.
Right.
But I feel the passion, man. This is why I don't do phone interviews, man.
Oh, okay.
Because I need to.
You need that energy.
You need the energy,
the
man.
Frequency that you want when you're in person.
So I appreciate your time, brother.
Absolutely.
2 things, right? One, the passion.
Right.
The second thing is, I feel like entrepreneurs have to be successful, right? To achieve any success for me, I believe that you have to sort of be obsessed with what you're dealing with.
Absolutely.
Right? And if you're planting a seed and it takes 7 years, 5 years, 12 years, 20 years, whatever it is, you have to sort of be obsessed, and you have to have faith in yourself that this is going to work.
Right.
This is going to work, you know?
Well, we talk about faith, Gene. And we talk about belief and faith is the hope and the substance of things. But what we don't realize is faith is just another word for persistence.
Persistence, yes.
If you don't have faith in something, you won't persist in it.
No, you can't.
It doesn't work out that way.
No, it doesn't work out.
So not only do you have to have faith, but you got to be able to have the faith enough to persist in the thing that you desire until it manifests itself.
You ever ran track?
I did like twice when I was in high school.
Yeah. So I was a long distance runner, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the only reason I did long distance was because, this is as a kid, I ran long distance because I knew that I could outrun everybody because everyone was going to speed up and then get tired at the end. I was going to pace myself till the end.
Got it.
And then speed up.
Got it.
And I would win.
Got it.
You know? So in life, I always look at life as a long distance race. Right? When people see me today, they see, oh, Dr. Gene Alert, and they see now, and they, whatever, he has money. I'm like, when I was 18 years old, when I had the suit on, going door to door, hustling, grinding, trying to get business, and telling people the vision. Telling people, like, yo, I'm gonna do this. When I'm 30 something, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna have this. And they're laughing at me. But now those same people like, yo, man, I always knew.
I knew you had it.
I always knew you had it in you, man. Like you that guy. You know. And so did that ever happen to you?
Yeah.
Like when you were telling people, people that were you thought were supposed to ride with you in the beginning, now they're like, yeah, you Jermain, yeah, man, I know this guy from way back, man. Yeah. He's always been a grinder.
Yeah. I mean, I was wearing suits in high school. I was wearing suits and ties in high school. It's interesting that you would say that. But success is nothing but the progressive realization of a worthy goal. But in order for us to get to that goal, we have to progress. And that word progress means growth. So we can't expect to become successful without some form of growth, because at that level, we start to attract certain things to our life, based on who we really are. And I can say that I didn't think that when I started my real estate company, that there would be people that said, oh, you crazy for starting a real estate company. I mean, I remember my manager telling me verbatim, that I don't think that this is a good idea for you, but the door is always open for you to come back. And when he said that to me, I said, no, I'm good. I'll keep the door closed. Just for the simple fact that people's expectation of you, or as my mentor Les Brown says, someone's opinion of you does not have to be your reality.
Nope.
And I didn't take that. I said, whatever I'm going to do. And there's been some sleepless nights, and there's been some low months, and there's been some months where I said, what exactly am I doing? What am I doing? But again, if I didn't have that imagination, if I didn't have that image, if I didn't have that dream, if I didn't have that goal, if I didn't have this thing in front of me that I was constantly progressing toward, that's the thing. See, we think success is an event or a moment.
Nope.
This thing, baby, it takes time, and it's a progressive realization to that end goal. So yes, I had some people that walked out on me. I had some people that said, listen, you crazy, you're not going to make it. I don't think that's a good opportunity for you. But I had a dream. I have a dream. And anybody who has a dream that's listening today on this phone, you got to really believe in yourself. You got to believe that what's possible for others is also possible for you as well.
Man. All right. How do you go from dreaming to manifestation?
Well, again, we talked about that.
Yeah, we did.
And that was one of the things that I help a lot of people do, because a lot of people, like we just talked about, one of my favorite quotes by William James, he said, if you wish to be rich, you will be rich. If you wish to be good, you will be good. If you wish to learn, you will learn, but only wish those things exclusively and not wish at the same time 100 other incompatible thoughts just as strongly. What he's basically saying is, if there's something that you want in life, you gotta aim at it.
You do.
And the reason why we're not getting our dreams is because we have too many incompatible ideas, too many incompatible goals, too many incompatible dreams, and that's why we can't manifest anything. So how do we go from dreaming to manifestation? Well, you got to make a commitment and say, I'm not moving away from this thing that I really want for my life till I manifest it. I'm not going to take my eyes off the prize until I manifest it. It's funny, I was talking about the piñata the other day and how the piñata has everything in it. All we got to do is swing at the piñata, but we want the stuff in the piñata swinging at everything else. We don't have no focus. We don't got no aim. So we're not going to manifest the dream until we have an aim. You know, most people fail in life not because they aim too high and miss. They fail because they're aiming too low, that's what they're getting. The dream is too low. The inspiration is too low. The thing they want is too low.
My father said, he said, always go after the whale.
Yeah.
Always go after the whale, you know? And so, some people I know used to say to me, why do you always, every time you do something, why do you always have to aim high?
Right.
Because if you aim high, what are you going to get?
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 Perfect example. Where are we sitting? Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden. When I saw that.
My first podcast.
In Madison
Square Garden.
That's powerful.
I could have did this podcast on a phone. I could have used one of those phone things.
Right. Put it all together.
Yeah,
right.
Put it all together.
Right.
What's it called?
1, 2, 3 podcast.
1, 2, 3 podcast. You know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So I could have did that. I could have did it from a platform at my office, but I wanted to aim high.
Right.
I reached out, got the partnership with Cumulus, OG Podcast Network, put it together.
Right.
Right? That's aiming high.
That's aiming high.
That's aiming high. My first podcast, I don't have 1 million followers on Instagram.
Right, that's fine.
And that's, you know what I'm saying? Like,
because you're going after something.
I'm going after something much larger because I know in real life I'm winning.
Right.
So I was like, I don't care. I had a guest, one of my mentors, right? And he owned the bank that I used to work for, Dynamic, Rob Flower.
Okay.
And I told this story before with Brianna, but Brianna said, she's our producer, and she said, are we going to put his Instagram on, like, to promote his Instagram on the video?
Right.
Because he only has like two followers. He has 2 posts.
Right.
He has like nobody, like no activity. I said, this dude, I'm not going to disclose his money.
Right.
But this dude is a big dog.
Right. No, I understand totally.
And he's winning in real life.
Right.
And I was like, no, we got to put that.
Right.
Because I want to show people that don't look at the followers, don't look at the Instagram, I guess, activity.
Right.
You have to see what a person's really doing in real life.
Well, also, too, what you have to realize is that the majority of the people that are posting and doing all of these things are posting the things that are of the people that are actually really wealthy. Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I never really pay attention.
No.
And I know the statistics. I know 97% of the population are not successful. There's only really 3% of the population. So I get all of that, and I understand people's ideal and people's mindset on a day-to-day basis. They want to look successful or act as though they are successful until they become successful. I get that, but
fake it till you make it.
But I think that there's a way that you can go about that.
That to me, I remember when we were younger, when I got into the mortgage business at 18.
Right.
And that whole fake it to the make it thing didn't work for us. Because back then there was no social media. Right. It was like real life. And if you faked to the wrong people,
they was coming to get you.
They coming to get you.
Right.
You know, at my office, you wore fake Ferragamos.
They was coming to
They hitting you. Right. You know what I mean? Like you wearing a like a knockoff tie,
something, anything.
They cutting it. Yo, my office, they would take a scissor and cut your tie.
Right.
Real disrespectful stuff, man.
Well, you know what's interesting now? You know, man, I said this the other day. Society doesn't require you to live well, be educated, be successful.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a requirement of society. That's a requirement of you.
That's a requirement of you. Yep.
That's a requirement of you. All of that stuff is
true.
Requirement, because at the end of the day, the inner conversations that you have up here every single morning, that's gonna make or break you when you get up. That inner conversations that we usually have that's argumentative with ourselves. I can't really do this. I should do it. I think about doing it. I'm not gonna do it. I'll get to it next year. Those inner conversations, that's what makes or breaks us.
Absolutely. So to piggyback on that, right? How do you have something where you talk about in your presentations is how do you get anything that you want? Like how does that happen to someone, right?
Yeah, right.
Like,
well, I think as far as getting what you want, I mean, again, you know, we talked about that. Getting what you want starts from actually knowing what it is that you really do want. And I think that's a definiteness of purpose. Most people don't get what they want out of life because they never decide what it is that they do want. They decide what they do want after they get what they don't want.
Oof. So
it's like, here I am. I did a training and we were talking about what kind of car somebody wants, right? And I asked the guy the car and I said, you know, he said he wants a 2018 E-Class. And I mean, that's his, you know, goal. I want a Rolls Royce Cullen. But that was his goal.
That was his goal, yeah.
And I asked him, I said, well, you know, what kind of car, what model, what color, what seats, you know, what alloys, what interior? And the guy told me, and I said, well, I got a 1980 champagne on champagne E-Class. I'll give it to you for free. Do you want it? He said, yeah, I'll take it. That was it right there. I caught him right there. It's not what we intend to do that matters. It's what we settle for. He just told me this is what I want. I give him something else. It's like a kid in the candy store. My son goes, Daddy, I want this lollipop. I go, no, you want this lollipop. He goes, yeah, I want that lollipop. Never definite about the thing that you want. So you can't get the thing that you want because you're never definite about it.
Wow, that's deep, man.
One of these network marketing companies, I was talking to this lady in one of the network marketing companies, and the same thing, she came to me and she said, Jermain, you know, my company is gonna pay me a car allowance every month. And I said, wow, that's phenomenal. What kind of car do you want? She's like, well, you know, the company is going to give us a Mercedes-Benz. And I said, that's incredible. What kind of Mercedes-Benz do you want? I don't know. Well, what color Mercedes-Benz do you want? I don't know. Any type of Mercedes-Benz do you want? I don't know. Here's what I said to her. Until you decide or define what car you want down to the T, the company will never pay you for your car.
Absolutely that, yeah.
And you know what was so interesting? Because after I told her that, she said, Jermain, I said, well, why won't you go to the dealership? Or how far is the dealership from your house? She said, the dealership is right down the block. I said, well, how many times have you gone to the Mercedes-Benz dealership? She said, I haven't gone because I'm so concerned with what the salesperson will say to me when I get to the dealership and tell them I'm not buying a car today. And I said, you know how many people go to car dealerships every day? You know how many people window shop every day and waste people's time all because they're not going to buy a car, but it's something that they see that they want? She said, yes, I get it. I said, well, here's what I want you to do. There's 5 ways that you can get this thing down into your subconscious mind. Feeling, touching, tasting, smelling, and seeing. I said, in order for you to get the thing you want, listen to me very clearly, Gene, and this goes for you. When you're deciding what kind of car you want, You got to understand that a Honda does not smell like a Rolls Royce.
Nope.
You can't be in a company of Hondas thinking a Rolls Royce smells the same as a Honda. You got to go smell that thing.
Yeah.
So now every time I turn around, I smell a Rolls Royce Cullen because I sat in it. I touched the steering wheel. I felt the leather interior. I'm looking at it. Every time I close my eyes, I know I want a black on black Rolls Royce Cullen. And when I see it does something to me.
Yeah.
But until I get to that point where she says, I'm so concerned with what somebody else is going to say about my dream, and that's the reason why we don't go get it, because I'm so concerned with somebody else's limitations that I accept it and I get my own self-imposed limitations.
So talking about the self-imposed limitations and negative thinking.
Man, listen, that negative thinking is incredible.
Let's dig deep with this one.
Listen, first of all, scientists have discovered that we think anywhere between 65 and 68,000 thoughts a day. 87% are negative. Our thoughts travel.
87%?
87% of our thoughts are negative.
Wow.
Our thoughts travel 196,000 miles a second.
Wow.
And 87% of our thinking is unconscious and negative. So it's like one time I didn't go to my house in the country. For weeks. I get to my house, it was rain and all kinds of weather, so my grass and trees is all over the place. I call a landscaper. Landscaper comes, and I say, hey, listen, there's some plants over here I didn't plant, but they grew in abundance. They got beautiful colors on them, but I didn't plant these things. And he looks at me and he goes, Jermain, those aren't plants. Those are weeds. So I go, oh my God, I pick up my phone, I go and Google the word weeds. Here's what the word weeds brought back to me. They grow in abundance. You don't need a seed for them. And their only job is to take the nutrients out of the soil so the good crops won't grow.
Wow. Yeah.
And there's no difference between the soil of the earth and the soil of our minds. If we don't get in the garden and plant our dreams, plant our goals, plant our ideas, by default, by neglect, the negative ideas that we have will dominate us.
It will dominate.
And that's why we get what we don't want, because we never define. We never get into the garden of our dreams and plant the thing that we want so that we can manifest that thing.
Yo, that's so true about the weeds, man.
Most of us get up every day in neutral.
Yeah.
We get up every day in neutral. It's like, go reverse. Go reverse. Today, the weather's bad. Oh, it's a bad day. And everything starts to follow that. Oh, today I don't have any money. And everything starts to follow that. And everything goes wrong. I'm starting to think, if you ask somebody today, how's your day going? It's good. But then they'll give you everything with feeling of how bad their day is going. And I mean, they're so passionate about how bad my day is going and don't realize that we get the feeling of the thing that we don't want because we're talking about it so much.
So what if some, like, what if they don't have positive mentors like Les Brown, like you know Dr. Kimbrough?
Yes.
Dr. Dennis Kimbrough is one of my mentors.
Oh, wow,
he actually wrote the foreword for my book.
That's incredible.
Yeah, you read Think and Grow Rich and Black Choice,
you know, that's
Wealth Choice. Yeah,
that's
Wealth Choice.
Library.
So every time he comes, Dr. Kimbrough comes to New York, man, I go see him speak. He
let me know the next time.
Yeah. When he comes to New York, I'm going to Atlanta in April. Okay. So to go see him.
Let me know about April. I have a speaking engagement in Atlanta in April. So
yeah, April 7th.
Okay, I think it's around that time.
Yeah,
so
I'm going there April 7th. Yeah. But so when I see Dr. Kimbrough, I mean, not Dr. Kimbrough, but having people like this in our lives
is very important.
It's very important. So for us, I don't think we have 87% negative. I don't have 87%
well, I mean,
negative.
We probably it's 51, 49.
It's probably like,
right?
it's probably
70,
like
30.
Maybe, it's like 70, 30, 70% positive. And the days where, and it's interesting because it's all about discipline.
Absolutely.
And it's all about knowing your why.
Absolutely.
Because there's days, this week, matter of fact, this week.
Okay, challenge, character building week.
So yeah, this week was one of those weeks where the weeds were starting to creep up.
Right.
It was that one day, and I had to call my core group of guys that I know will tell me the real.
Right.
Just to like trim those weeds down.
Those weeds down.
Put the weed killer.
Right.
Because I was like, yo, the weeds is coming. I feel it. I feel it.
Right.
And I'm not perfect.
No.
You know, I've been an entrepreneur for 19 years. 19 years, right? And these 19 years of it's like an ocean, man.
Right.
You know, if it's a cruise ship, I talk about this in the book too. Life is like a cruise ship.
Right.
God is the captain of the ship.
Right.
You're the boat. Your life is the boat.
Right.
It's taking you to different piers, different ports, right? And you have to trust the process.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so sometimes you're on the cruise ship and you feel like you don't even know you're on water.
Right.
You don't even know you're on water.
Idea.
You have no idea unless you look out.
Right.
But then there's other days where as soon as you don't even get up out of the bed and you just see the water, you're on the top floor and you see the water bashing into your window.
Right.
And you're like, oh my God, I'm about to die.
Right.
Right? But you have to trust that your captain has control.
Right.
You have to have faith.
Right.
And so because of that, you get to your destination.
Absolutely.
Right? So some days I have those moments. Of
course.
Right? It's not every week. It's maybe once every couple months, you know, especially in the beginning of the year. Right? I usually have it, you know, I don't have this new year, new me attitude. No. But I have this, I just have to keep going.
Keep going.
Right? I know my plan.
Got a new life resolution, not a New Year's resolution.
Yeah, no. And so I came into the office. I'll tell you, I'm very transparent. I came into the office one day and nobody was there. The weather was terrible. It was freezing outside and I'm by myself. And I was like, yo, what am I doing?
Right.
What am I doing this for?
Wow.
Like, what am I doing this for? And I literally said that. And I sat in my office. I was like, you know, and I planned the day before. So I had a to-do list. I have a planner. I had my iPad. I had everything.
Everything.
And I sat in my office. I did nothing, bro. I sat there and I was like, yo.
Zoned out.
Let me go on Instagram.
Right. Zoned out. Zoned out.
I didn't know what to do.
Zoned out.
I didn't know what to do. And so, and I caught myself. I said, whoa. I didn't even want to call my wife. You know what I mean? I didn't want to call her.
Right.
She's probably going to listen to this like, oh my God. Right. But I didn't call her. I called one of my boys. And I called him because I know he's one of my brothers that accountability partners.
You need those.
And you knew.
The mastermind alliance.
Yes. So I called him and I told him, this is how I'm feeling right now.
Right.
He said, yo, bro, this is what you go back.
Right.
Remember.
You need those snapback partners.
Yeah, you need the snapback partners.
Right.
And I got right back to it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, and the interesting part about it is that when you're a leader the way you are, Jermain, is that you find yourself where everyone's coming to you to pick you up.
Yeah, nobody's giving you no gas.
And no one's giving you gas.
No one's giving
and
you
then the
gas.
crazy part about it is sometimes, Jermain, I don't know about you, but I know about me. Sometimes I'm like, who do I go to?
That's a great question.
Who do I go to? Because I can't just pick up the phone and call Dr. Kimbrough every day.
Right.
Like, Dr. Kimbrough, man, I'm going through it.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm married 10 years. You know, some days marriage ain't easy.
Yeah, I get it.
Having a kid ain't easy.
I totally understand.
Running businesses ain't easy. Having tenants ain't easy. Like, all these things aren't easy.
Right.
And once you think one thing happens, and being an entrepreneur, people, listen to this. It's not easy. It's a process. You just have to trust the process. You have to understand what you're getting into. Right. It's a risk, but you have to be persistent. You have to. I come into the office, marriage is good, everything is good, family is good. I go into the office, leak in the building.
Right.
Damn.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Leak is good, everything is good.
Some problems at home.
Some problem here.
Right.
This is good. Something else happens. Right. And I try to I took it out my vocabulary and took it out my mind, because every time I used to say, it's always something.
Yes.
It's always something.
That's great.
take that out of your mind. You have to. Because that's the negative. That's the 30% for me.
That's the seed.
That's the seed.
That's the seed.
That's the seed, Jermain. And when I heard you talking, I started thinking about myself and started thinking about what I just said about it's always something.
It's always something.
It's always something.
So that is a negative.
It is a negative.
It is a negative.
And that's the weed.
Yes.
And it's like, yes, I got him.
All right. That's it. And once you understand that, when you close your eyes and really think about a garden and weeds and even knowing the definition of that, now you can say, that one tiny seed, what it will do to me when I start thinking negative. Negativity is like a chain being pulled out of water. It's another link. It's another link. It's another link. It's another link until there's an anchor. And that anchor is too heavy for us.
Ooh.
That's how negative thinking is. That's how negative thoughts are. And you talked about having all of these different challenges in life, but it's like I'm writing in my book this particular chapter called Truth Despite Your Appearances. And it's knowing that because of what you see right now, if it's not what you want, that's not the conclusion for your life. You got to know the truth. And if you take your eye off the truth, of course you're going to deal with the appearances because you're no longer paying attention to the truth. It's like this incredible story about the zebras. The zebras got this migration they do every year. And I was talking about this for New Year's resolution people, right? They got this incredible migration. They go through every year, every single year. It's one of the largest migrations in South Africa. They're going from one part of South Africa because the land is drying up and there's nothing there. And they're going to another part of South Africa where there's abundance. They're looking for abundance. That's what everybody's doing every year, looking for abundance. It's drying up over here. I need to go look for some abundance over here. So they got this migration, a whole bunch of them.
Wow.
But on this migration, they're met with lions, cheetahs, leopards, hyenas. And when you think about that from our perspective, that's what happens to us. Adversity, challenges, fear, worry, guilt, neglect, shame. And we're going on this journey to greener pastures, and we got to deal with that. And as I was watching this story, they came to the Nile River. These zebras, they're trotting along this Nile. They get to the Nile River and they halt. I mean, it's packs and herds of zebras, and they get to the Nile River and they halt. And I'm saying to myself, what's the problem? And they start looking around, and their instinct is telling them something is wrong, but they don't really know what's wrong. It's not that they can't swim. It's just like the water might get too deep for them. The currents might get too deep for them. So they say, you know what? Forget it. I'm getting in the Nile River. And I'm watching this story and I'm like, oh, shoot. It's not the currents in the water. It's crocodiles in there. They don't see the crocodiles, but they see their goal. And as they're in the water, the crocodiles don't pop up in front of them. They pop up on the side.
On the side.
They pop up on the back. And they take their eyes off the goal of getting the greener pastures. And now some of them become paralyzed because they like, oh my God, these crocodiles, they're too much. The leak is too much. Being broke is too much. Not having the money for my business is too much. The credit issues is too much. Me getting kicked out is too much. And now I'm focused on the crocodiles and I'm no longer focused on my truth. I become a casualty to the crocodiles. The only crocodiles that didn't become the only zebras that didn't become a casualty to these crocodiles were the ones that said, I gotta get out of this. I'm focused on greener pastures. And that's what you gotta do, Gene. You gotta focus on the greener pastures. There's a great book by Emmett Fox. It's called The 7-Day Mental Diet. It's so small. It's an incredible book that talks solely about staying focused on the things you want, the positive images, the ideas, the money you want, the goals you want, the dream you want, because the things we don't want are the things that we create on our own self. So I don't think about negativity, or I don't think about that stuff. I don't have no time for that stuff because I know what it does to me. It gets me trapped in the Nile River, and these crocodiles, man, they too much.
Yeah, they too much.
I could get through the lions because I could run. I could get through the cheetah. I could get through all that. But when I get in the water and I can't swim, and there's something with this big teeth at me,
swallow you up whole.
So that's why you got to focus on that truth. That's why we can't say, like you said, I had to take this thing out of my vocabulary. This thing that says, every time I turn around, something happens, because every time I do turn around, something does happen. Because that's what I'm creating for my life. I'm speaking this thing into manifestation. And we don't understand how powerful our words are. If we understood, the process is simple. We think, the thought goes to a feeling, the feeling goes to an action, the action goes to a result. We don't just jump from thought to result. We got to go through a process. Absolutely. So when you understand that my results are a direct reflection of the thing that I'm thinking about, you be like, hold on a minute, baby. I need to change my thinking. Because this ain't working for me.
This ain't working for me.
I got to get out of here. This thinking is burying me.
Man, Jermain. So let me ask you a question, right? What do you talk about five principles of success?
Right.
Like, what are those five
success principles is something that I talk to. I remember sitting down with, I didn't get a chance to talk to you about my mentor, Mr. Les Brown, who is basically my father figure in life. And I mean, the summary of my book stems from me going to a Get Motivated seminar, seeing Les Brown, not being able to take a picture there with him, and being upset because they told me that if I purchased this one particular ticket, I would be able to take a picture with him. And so I'm thinking, I'm here at this event, I'm going to take a picture with Les Brown, I'm going to wait all day. And when they call the people up to take pictures, they go, wait, no, you're in the platinum section. Only the people that take pictures with him are in the titanium section. And I was furious. I was angry. But at that moment, I didn't say, this is it. That fueled me. And I said, you know what? I don't want to be a picture taker. I want to be in his life as a son. I defined it. And I didn't know what was going to happen or how it was going to happen, because a lot of people want to be close to Les Brown. A lot of people want to be in Les Brown's life. I don't got the remedy to that. All I knew is it was a dream that I knew was going to manifest it in less than 2 years. I remember standing at another Get Motivated seminar. This time I'm in the back, holding his phone, recording him. And the thing he said to me before he got on the stage was, son, hold my phone and make sure you take a good recording of me. I can't get involved in the process. I don't understand the process. I never pay attention to the process. All I know is this is what I want, and this is what I'm gonna do to get it. So in terms of the 5 principles of success, is something that me and him sat down and we worked on. The first thing is identifying what you want, right? Identifying the thing that you truly want for yourself. That's number 1. Number 2 is mastering something you love. Because if you master something that you love, people will seek you and find you to pay you because you mastered what you love. There's a lot of people right now, they're very busy. Very few people are being busy at mastering something, becoming a specialist in a particular area. A lot of people got great resources and great all of this, but they're not busy becoming a specialist. So we mastering what we love. The third thing is not becoming average. Too many people are familiar with the word average. We can describe, we can define. We got all the mathematical and scientific facts on how we can be average. But nobody's mastering something higher above average. So we stay average. I was talking a story the other day about how caterpillars were put on a plant pot, and they allowed these caterpillars to march around this plant pot with food in the near future, off to a distant side. And the caterpillars marched around the plant pot for days, and they all died. Not one of the caterpillars said, wait, there's food over there. Why don't we go over there to survive? And it's no difference between the caterpillars and people. We march around following the followers, and we don't realize that we're becoming average in the process, right? So we talk about identifying what you want, mastering what you love, not being average. And then we talk about one of the chapters that I love, and that's imagination. Because Einstein said imagination is the preview of things to come in your life, in your future. It was something that I did when I was 25 years old, 93 cents in my account, sleeping on the floor in the basement on a coat. I said, I don't want to be like this anymore, but who I want to be is like this. I had to imagine the person that I wanted to be like so I could springboard myself to get there. So identify what you want, master what you love. Don't be average. You gotta have an imagination. And last but not least, you gotta invest in yourself, my brother. You gotta invest in yourself. Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in America, he didn't say you gotta invest in real estate. He didn't say you gotta invest in stock. He didn't say shoes, bags, Christian Louboutins. He didn't say none of that. What he did say is the greatest investment you can make is the investment in you.
Absolutely.
Why? Because it's not what you get that matters. It's what you become that matters. And the only way you can become something, the only way you can be somebody is by investing in yourself.
It's
investing
true.
in the books you read, investing in the disciplines, investing in the dreams, investing in what you're hearing, investing in the ideas. That's the only way you can become something. So that's the 5 principles of success, my brother.
Jermain, thank you so much, man. Guys, I know you guys are like running through brick walls right now, man. So, Jermain, thank you so much, man, for coming on.
It's been my pleasure, man.
So tell me about where people can find you.
Yeah.
How people can stay connected with you, what you got going on.
Yeah. Right now, I'm doing my social media thing. I'm getting my followers up. You can find me on social media, Instagram, Jermain Miller, JermainMiller, as well as Facebook, same thing. LinkedIn as well. My website, which we should be launching probably by the end of the month, is JermainMiller.com. You can go there, leave your email, either direct message me on social media or anything like that.
Okay.
That's the best way to
What type of clients do you typically? Because I see car dealerships, real estate companies, corporations.
Yeah. So I didn't want to become a general practitioner where I was everywhere and doing everything.
Yeah.
I do have one particular message that can go everywhere.
Okay.
So this morning, I'm working with 12 students that were in the 7th and 8th grade who they wrote off, telling them they had mental health issues and giving them medication and drugs all day. And they're zombies throughout the most of the day, and they're missing their life. And they're telling these students, you're dumb, you're stupid, and you're not going to make it. And they're selling them these stories, and these stories they're believing about themselves. So I was in the school this morning. I was in the school yesterday with 100 students, talking to them pretty much about the same thing. You know, Saturday I'll be training at an auto dealership. So my message is clear. We become what we think about.
It's
Very
true.
simple.
It's true.
So if there's something that you really want in your life,
Napoleon Hill, man.
you gotta decide. Very simple. This is it. And I'm not gonna stop until I get it.
Yep. Man. Woo. All right. Thank you, Jermain, man. Thank you. We definitely have to do something together, man. You definitely do.
I look forward to it.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another great episode of Faith Grind Inspired. Thank you for our guest Jermain Miller for coming on. Please go up and follow him and check him out. If you have a business and you need some inspiration, and have him come out, follow him on the gram. So thank you guys. Thank you to our Spotify family. Thank you to our OG podcast family, Apple Podcasts.
Wow.
Yeah. So thank you to all our viewership. Thank you for our producer, Tim. He's in the building.
He's in the building.
He's never on the camera, though. We got to get on camera. So, Tim, Jamie, Brianna, thank you to the interns that came today and helped us out. So I appreciate you guys. You can follow us every Wednesday. We're live every Wednesday. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And God bless, man. Peace.
God bless.